Kurt Angle's hot take about WWE's 100% right. And in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what that hot take is and why it's so significant. Because Kurt Angle, well, he's one of the greatest to ever do it, breaking into the business in the heart of the Attitude Era, becoming one of their top stars. Now, sure, he's had his ups, he's had his downs, but I think most people would agree Kurt Angle is one of the best to ever lace up his boots and get inside of the squared circle, competing for WWE. And ironically, he had a longer tenure in TNA wrestling, wrestling the likes of Bobby Roode, AJ Styles, Sting, Jeff Jarrett, Bobby Lashley. I mean, the list goes on and on. But Kurt Angle is someone that, while yes, he was a top star for them, an iconic star, well, his tenure with the company didn't end on the hottest of notes. Think about it like this. So Kurt Angle, he departed from WWE in 2006 and went to TNA Wrestling, which was at the time, he was dealing with some serious drug addiction. Now, keep in mind that he's publicly talked about in the past how he felt like he did not have a choice in WWE, that he felt like he was kind of out of control. He was also burnt out, and so he went to TNA, and I'll get into that in much more depth and detail in a minute. He went to TNA, and he was immediately pushed as a top guy. World championship material. That's what Kurt Angle was. He was a pillar of that company in regards to bringing it to the next level. And he helped them for the next several years up until about 2010. And then the Hogan-Bischoff regime came in and it just turned into a nightmare. Angle returned in WWE to WWE in 2017, where he was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame and became the Raw General Manager. He later wrestled select matches, but he only knew that he only had a few more matches. Let's be real. A few more matches. Not even years, more matches in him because his body had started to break down. And he couldn't wrestle at the same level that he once did. Angle, he went on and lost to Baron Corbin in a farewell match at WrestleMania 35 in New Jersey at MetLife Stadium. Angle has publicly talked about wanting to have John Cena be his retirement opponent, but Vince McMahon insisted that it be Corbin that year due to their ongoing storyline, and if he wished to have a retirement match against John Cena at WrestleMania, he could get it done, but it would be the following year. Obviously, Angle opted to retire. And since then, he's done his own thing. He had a great podcast at one point, which kind of fizzled out, which I still don't understand, but he had a great podcast. He's a very good speaker, and he tells great stories. If you need something to binge on, that's definitely a podcast I would recommend. Now, he was on the Not Sam Wrestling podcast, and he reflected on his WWE return and why he thinks he wasn't appreciated when he returned to the company in 2017. I love Baron Corbin, he said, but I just felt like that was my second time in WWE. I wasn't so much appreciated. I think it has a lot to do with me leaving the company high and dry in 2006 and going straight to TNA. I was supposed to go back to WWE in 6 months. Vince McMahon wanted me to take 6 months off and come back. So literally when I left his office and I quit, I called TNA and I got a contract that day. I didn't wait a second. I knew that I wanted to go and where I wanted to go. And I think they was like, okay, well, if he comes back, we're going to teach him a lesson, which is fine. I understand. I love my TNA run. I think I came into my own run around 2006 when I was having my best wrestling, and that's when I moved over TNA, end quote. A lot to break down there. Let's get started. Do I think he was punished for leaving the company, quote unquote, high and dry? No. Look, he was a top guy in 2006. He was a wrestling machine. Great gimmick, by the way. But he wasn't leaving them high and dry, right? Go down the list. Your John Cena's, your Randy Orton's, your Batista's, your Undertaker's, your Triple H's, your Shawn Michaels, etc. To go to TNA, who has never, ever been big-time competition to WWE. Not even close. AEW has been more of a legit threat to WWE, especially in 2021, than TNA ever has been in its entire existence with some of the biggest names in the history of this business. So let's pump the brakes on that. Do I think Vince McMahon, who is, let's be real, is a very odd man, holding a grudge against Kurt Angle, who he gave his first break to, who he probably saw as a son-like figure, going to a rival promotion and leaving him? Did he take that a little bit as a grudge, did he hold on to that? 1,000%. It's Vince McMahon. He's a weird, weird man, right? And I'm not even talking about his outside the office antics. That man's a monster. He's just a weird dude in general, right? No buts or cans about it, or whatever the cool kids say. But him coming back to WWE in 2017, it was cursed from the beginning. And he's talked about this in the past where it's like, it was weird. It was weird. He didn't make a big return, a surprise appearance in a Royal Rumble, a shocking return on Monday Night Raw. No, he came back to be part of the Hall of Fame. And then he was the Raw GM. And it's like, ugh. And then it's like, oh yeah, you can wrestle. Hey, bud, get in the ring. Let's see you wrestle again. And it's like, what? He's already been inducted in the Hall of Fame. He's with the Raw GM, and now he's wrestling? And he's talked about this as well. And other part-time stars have complained about this as well. But it's a real thing. When you go and you wrestle one night a week, 2 nights a week, or multiple times a week, on a consistent basis, your body gets used to that wear and tear. But when you only do a match every month, maybe every few months, sometimes once a year, it's extraordinarily difficult to A, get into ring shape, and B, get into that type of brutality that you put on your body. It's harder to prepare for, and it's harder to recover from. It just sucks, okay? Newsflash, pro wrestling is not ballet. You're throwing yourself at concrete, for God's sakes. That's exactly what they're doing, right? So I get it from that standpoint. This is not the easiest thing to do in the world, y'all. So from Kurt Angle's standpoint, it's like, okay, you're handicapping me because I can't wrestle full-time. Keep in mind, a few years prior, he was wrestling a full-time schedule in TNA. Before coming back to WWE in 2016, he was working the indie circuit, and he was competing over in the UK and etc. So he was doing a lot of matches, having a lot of good matches. He wrestled Cody Rhodes a few times on the independent scene. Had some really good matches. He's on the shelf. He's not wrestling for whatever it was, 6-8 months, a year, whatever. And then they're like, hey, man, you need to wrestle again. And it's like, dude, you're almost 50. Your body's beaten up, right? What do you expect? It's almost like he just got solid all of a sudden, right? He wasn't flexible. He wasn't bendable. I mean, you looked at the way his knees were always bent at a slight angle, right? When he walked, it was terrible. I felt bad for him, right? And he luckily got that fixed. But yeah, I don't blame Kurt Angle for his last WWE run, and nor will anyone ever remember him. The only thing that they will remember Kurt Angle in his last WWE run, they'll remember 2 things. One, he was a part of the Shield that one time, and the fact that he had a really bad retirement match against Baron Corbin. That's it. They'll remember the Raw GM stuff way more than the wrestling. So I agree here with Kurt Angle, no doubt, no doubt.